Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I am Friendship Pearson. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It is September 29th of 2024, 11:23 in the a.m. Earlier, I brought you part one in relation to the Middle East talks back in the day. Yes, back in the late 70s. I was a journalist for the Christian Citizen newspaper. In part one, I was telling you how I did articles October 1979. Then we have it here, October 19th, 1979. This one's October 26th, 1979. Another one, October 31st, 1979. I will bring you 1980 tomorrow, dealing with Jesse Jackson and Andrew Young, the New World Order. Back in the day, Andrew Young was allegedly meeting with the Palestinian Liberation Organization, okay? The head of that organization was Yasser Arafat. Don't want to be disrespectful, but I guess you could call the Hamas is the modern day PLO of that day, if that makes any sense. Our president was Jimmy Carter. The Jimmy Carter administration said they were not aware that Andrew Young was over there negotiating a peace. It was between Yasser Arafat of Egypt and Menachem Begin of Israel and Jimmy Carter, president, the peace accords. Andrew Young then went to Operation Push and met with Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was his spokesperson, representing him, saying Andrew didn't do anything wrong. I was able to get a press pass because my godmother, the late Reverend Taplin Barrow, she worked under Reverend Jesse Jackson along with my mom. And I was the youth director. I spoke every Saturday at Operation Push back in the day. So I was able to interview Andrew Young back in the day, of which I received some position papers, of which I'll reveal that to you now. Now, earlier I presented this video. I'll show you again. This is the sister of one of the Hamas hostages. She wore 242. I believe 242, that date is August 30th of 2024, which meant it's the 329th day of the year, 329 days of the war. You see, the war started on October 7th of 2023. And if my logic is right, she's saying it's 242 days her sister is in captivity. So again, the 242nd day of the year is August 30th, 2024, subtracted from December 7th of 2023 when the war began. The difference is 329 days or 47 weeks, including the end date. Wow, what a revelation, 47 weeks, and we're trying to get a 47 president. What I am seeing is a trend, just like it was back in the day. Almost exactly, you got hostages just like back in the day, they were negotiating the hostages, and it just might happen again where we change from one presidential regime to another. Back in the day, it was Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. If I'm not mistaken, as soon as Ronald Reagan became president, that was the same day that the hostages, we had 50 hostages over in Iran. They were released. We got hostages over there again, people. So I want you to listen to this lady that I'm going to read. What I'm saying is this. This is about world governance. Believe it or not, I believe what Satan is doing. He's having this Middle East situation ramp back up to bring in WW3. And then they can justify bringing in world governance, which is a one world system. That's just how I see it, people. It's sick, but it's all being manipulated. We're pawns in this game. I've been watching this game, like I said, since the late 70s, I've been watching this game. So I'm putting it together for you. We need Jesus. And I pray he comes before all this hell breaks loose. So listen to what this lady's predicting. Listen.
saying that the goal was to eliminate Hamas and that he would not agree to a ceasefire and hostage exchange deal until that happened. Now, this seems to be Joe Biden saying again that what is obstructing the ceasefire process that could allow your sister to come home and get the food and get the medicine and get the care that she needs and to live in safety.
Okay, so I went too far. So let me go back to his 2015 because I blew it again. See what I can do here.
We are not 200 years ago. This is not okay that we have terror organizations that controlling the free world and people in the West letting it happen and stay on the streets, killing the hostages now, or Israelis must die. What did I do wrong? What did my sister did wrong? Nothing. Nothing. We did nothing wrong.
Well,
this was happening inside our own country. And if the world won't help us, we will see 9/11 the second time in the U.S. as well.
Did you hear that? You hear what she said? If the United States doesn't help over there and their situation, we're going to see 9/11 again. It's deep, y'all. Now, let me go methodically here. What happened at this point when Ambassador Young allegedly got caught trying to negotiate a peace, again, he ran to Jesse Jackson. I was able to sit in on a conference, and me and other journalists, we interviewed Andrew Young. And that's when I found out something that I heard about, the NWO, the New World Order. Watch. The Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, President, National Operation Push, People United Save Humanity, all right, is defending Young's action in meeting with the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, over the sensitive issues in the Middle East. Reverend Jackson's comments are taken from position papers on, quote, a quest for peace in the Middle East and the vital interests of Black people. The United States wasn't supposed to meet with the PLO because Israel says it won't negotiate with Egypt if the PLO is involved. Once brought public that Ambassador Young met with the PLO, there began to be an outcry, remove him. Ambassador Young then thought it wise to resign. The question now asked is, did the ambassador act alone, or did other White House officials know of this action beforehand? Reverend Jackson states Andy was a fall guy. He was undercut by State Department politics. The State Department's declaration of total unawareness of any contact is untrue and deceptive, Jackson explains. The State Department's appearance of clean hands is an illusion at best and a cover-up at worst. It leaves the false impression that Andy was unilateral, insensitive, headstrong, and dishonest. I can prove to the contrary. Reverend Jackson claims that there was and is a treasonous struggle in the United States and the world to include the PLO in peace talks. Jackson states that in the first place, at the Camp David meeting with Begin, Sadat, and Carter, much of the discussion was about the PLO issue. To cover Begin's political flanks, they didn't refer to them as Palestinians, they referred to them as refugees. Secondly, Jackson explains the U.S. ambassador to Australia, Milton Wolfe, a Jewish ambassador with less rank than Andrew Young, talked with the PLO. On 3 different occasions, he was reprimanded, not really challenged. So that's the history. And then it says, Reverend Jackson continues, Andy's conduct was not an act of treason, subterfuge, or corruption. With each passing day, new revelations will transform his crucifixion into a resurrection. Reverend Jackson is now asking President Carter for an invitation to find out, asking for an investigation to find out who spied on Andrew Young while he met with the PLO. So that's how that went down, allegedly, people. I was covering the story. Now I want you to check this out. This is how I found out about the New World Order. And when you look at it 40 something years later, people, I'm glad I have this to bring it to you, because I want you to see how this thing germinated in part. This ain't the whole story, but it's part of it. It was in August of this year I read the words New World Order. These words were mentioned 7 times in position papers from Operation Push, People United to Save Humanity, on the subject, A Quest for Peace in the Middle East and the Vital Interests of Black People. Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, National President of Operation Push, wrote these position papers in defense of former ambassador to the United Nations, Andrew Young. Young had thought it wise to resign when many people felt he should lose his job after meeting with the PLO over the sensitive issues in the Middle East. I obtained these position papers solely for the purpose of writing an article on Andrew Young affair, presented August 31st in this newspaper. Once I finished the article, I read the position papers again and realized that there was something that had been mentioned but not defined, the words New World Order. I began to reflect on the possibility that I had heard these words somewhere before, but by whom I didn't remember. So I conversed with others whom I thought might give me some insight on these words, but still no definition. 1 month had passed and still nothing. On the morning of October 6th, I listened to Operation Push's radio program, Chicago, in which Reverend Jesse Jackson mentioned the New World Order again, but still no definition. That afternoon, I turned on the television as the Pope was speaking in Washington, D.C. He too mentioned the need for a New World Order, but didn't explain his words either. And if you notice, the Pope is going around like 11 countries, and he's talking about a one world church. So this thing is alive and well, and the framework is set right now, people. A world government and a world church. Go on, continue. Almost 1 week later, Fidel Castro, president of Cuba, while addressing the United Nations on October 12th, mentioned the need for you guessed it, New World Order. And again, there's no evidence that he explained what this New World Order is about. Finally, in last week's issue of this paper on page 7, Reverend Jackson was quoted in mentioning the New World Order before 1,500 delegates to the National Baptist Convention of America in San Antonio. I find it very interesting that Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Pope, and Fidel Castro all mentioned the New World Order. I still wonder what it all means. Also, Jimmy Carter was talking about it, and also Papa Bush talked about it, that is the president. Okay, last week I presented the article, What New World Order, where I stated that Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, National President of Operation Push, the Pope, Fidel Castro, President of Cuba, all spoke about the New World Order. This past Saturday, I went to Operation Push, right, to hear Reverend Jackson speak and to obtain information on the New World Order. I did obtain information on the subject of the New World Order from Reverend Jackson's press secretary, Frank Watkins. The following is part of that information. On October 13, 1979, Reverend Jackson spoke at his headquarters on the subject, quote, the challenge to live in one world. This speech was both printed and recorded. Let's see here. Within the context of this speech, Reverend Jackson discusses the New World Order. He starts out by saying, we have before us the challenge to live in one world as respected members. Let's look at the world's people, one half of all the human beings. So he gets into that. So now, believe it or not, I have a book in relation to Dr. King. That's right, Dr. King, where he talks about world order, chaos of community. Chaos of community. I'm gonna pull that up for you right now. I have the book, but I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here. It's Dr. King, World House, community, I think it's called community or chaos. Let's see if I can, comes up. Okay, here it is. In his 1977 book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, Dr. Martin Luther King introduced the concept of world house as a metaphor for global community. So what I'm showing you people is that I was able to, I was dealing with the black struggle like other people were. My godmother, Reverend Taplin Barrow, we created a bond. My mom worked for Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I was a youth director. And I was privy to information and a lot of heavyweight people around the world who came to Operation Push on Saturday and also on Wednesday or Thursday night. And I was a budding journalist and I was eager to get information. And I stumbled into the New World Order, the clarification of it. And what I'm telling you is that these black leaders back in the day, I know for sure, Dr. King talks about it and Reverend Jesse Jackson talks about it. And evidently, or allegedly, this is what Ambassador Andrew Young, I'm assuming, allegedly was working on. A structure where everybody comes into the fold under one system. I believe under the United Nations, just like what is being proposed right now in New York. Isn't that something? Now, because I watch trends, I do believe a lot of this is happening again. Different faces, basically same situation. Hostage situation, no peace in the Middle East, trying to negotiate a framework, trying to get hostages back, just trying to get everything right. And unfortunately, it appears the powers are going to utilize this situation to bring WW3. And I hope it doesn't escalate to that point, but that's what I'm seeing is going on. I'm glad to bring this information to you. It is a doom and gloom video. However, I am praying that Christ comes before this. I don't put anything past these world leaders. You see, they want the one world system. And when I did my research, like I showed in the last video, they have a plan, right? They have a plan, and they have it whereby once there is chaos, or once there is something that triggers a crisis, then the United Nations will make decisions with their world governance authority to usher in decisions and forget about our sovereignty. They'll do what's best for the country because now we allegedly are part of this one world system. It's a Shekinic way of doing it because I do believe that the powers have created these situations and they have a framework of a new world order in place. But in order to really give it teeth, give it bite, or to make it actually materialize, they need something like a global confrontation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you feel me? Because I've watched this thing, like I said, since way back in the day, 1979, and I'll do the part 2 tomorrow, 1980. If I think it's all right, I'll do that part 2, because I have paperwork on that too. I'll show you. I've been involved in this for 40, maybe 47 years, watching this thing. And look, they're preparing this thing, and they don't care. The other option is energy problems, or weather, or even money. That is a recession or worse. This is what I believe they could possibly bring to the whole world. Now that we're under one system, do you understand? We're under one system. Some folks believe that we held out this past week. From the information I have, we're in it. The global framework was set, and guess what? The Middle East is hot. Isn't that interesting? Just like it was hot during the period when Jesse Jackson was president of Operation Push, and I was able to get information and deal with this crisis back in the day. This crisis right here. And what president is going to deal with it now? It might be Trump. because you know he's all over it. He's all over the Middle East. I brought videos last week where Trump said he told the leader of Israel, get it over with. We got to have peace right away. Get it done. And you know, he's back in Israel. America has always had has Israel as an ally. But people, when I hear the sister of a Hamas hostage, when I hear the sister say, if we don't get involved in this thing to help their cause, and there's going to be a 911 if we don't get involved, it should scare you, and it's scaring me. We don't know when Jesus is going to come. But I'm telling you, the powers, it's an ugly situation to be in. They're literally orchestrating this thing, people. I can't be no more blunt. If I didn't know, I wouldn't tell you. But I'm telling you what I see. And I brought you the history, and we got to target our prayer. They're trying to do it again. If I'm not mistaken, I just heard Trump speak a few days ago. He talked about having a memorial every year, or making that 9/11 area, that building, that actual real estate, that area. He wants to make it like a monument or something like that. I forgot the words, where you have it like a monument. Not a monument, but you know what I'm trying to say. It becomes a special place, and the city will anoint it with that. I'll put in the comment section once I figure it out, but we do that here in Chicago too, special places, like a landmark. I believe that's what Trump said. Let me see if I can pull that up. Trump, he did that this past week. This is just interesting how this thing is going. Let me see if I can put this in Google search. Trump, New York, 9/11 building a landmark.
New York around New York. Here you go.
Okay. Trump, New York, Twin Towers, TOWER, made. I know I heard him say that this week. Trump, New York, Twin Towers made a landmark. I'll have to cover it. Yeah, it's something like that. You can see it here, right? So yeah, let me see. I wonder how come I can't find it here. But he did say it the other day. Let me see if I can pull up this video. You guys give me a second, be patient. We're gonna do this in real time. Oh yeah, there it is. There. Donald Trump vows to make Ground Zero a World Trade Center national monument if reenacted. Now this was yesterday, people. So let's look at the gematria on that. That's deep. This is deep. This is kind of scary, but let's look at this thing in real time. Let me get rid of some of these archives, some of these icons. So let's get into that. Date of 9/11, which was exactly, we had September 9/11/2001. 9/11/2001. Let's look at this. 9/11/2001. It's interesting that he said that. He just might be president, people. He's got a plan. I'm showing you this in real time because I want you to understand how this thing is flowing right before our very eyes. So he said that on the 28th. So Trump said this exactly. Look at this. 23 years and 24 weeks later. That's scary. 9/11/2001 is when the Twin Towers went down, right? And yesterday he said he's going to make it a monument. 9/28/2024. The difference is 23 years and 24 2 weeks and 4 days. You know what 24 is? 24 is X. But check this out. Let's bring this thing up to date. So if we take 9/11 of 2024 versus yesterday, 9/28 of 2024, the difference is 2 weeks and 4 days. People, I think they're speaking in code. Do you follow me? I did this in real time. 2 weeks and 4 days is it separates the Twin Towers versus when Trump said it. If you make it 2024, the year. I've taught you the 24th letter of the alphabet is X. Do you understand what's coming? Look, they're speaking in code, people. They're warning us. They're warning us. Now listen to what he said.
Us are members of New York City Firefighters Union, Local 94, the largest in the city. Thank you, fellas. Incredible people. And in their honor, I'm on. And I think this is a big deal, because in your honor, I am announcing tonight that as president, I will officially make the Ground Zero site at the World Trade Center a national monument, protected and maintained by the United States government.
That's deep, y'all. That's deep. It looked like that's what's coming. Predictive programming. Predictive programming. And I know her earrings represent like life, but it does have that X formation, but I'll leave that alone. And she's in black and white. Black and white means you play both sides. But people, be that as it may, who knows if that's a decode necessary or not. My heart goes out to all the hostages on both sides. But I know one thing, what I'm seeing 24, and I'm listening to this man. It appears that he is going to be president. It appears he's going to be president. And this lady is predicting if we don't get involved in helping her cause, you know what's going to pop off, okay? My name is Franchise Pearson. Like the work, please subscribe, thumbs up, share it, and pray. Share it and pray. Share it and pray. I don't put nothing past these devils. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't put nothing past these devils. God allowed me to do this work way back in the day, and I'm able to put it together for you, okay? And I just believe God got me on this planet for a purpose to show you. I just pray that he come. That's what I pray. God bless you.